Hey everybody, this is Tycon with Valhalla Gaming Community, and this is going to be episode 3 of Road to Cutting Edge. In this video I want to talk about some slight changes I made with my character and my UI, and then from there I'm going to break the video down into 3 main segments: Mythic Plus, Raiding, and PvP. And of course, I'm going to throw some flavor stuff in at the end. So, hope you enjoy the video, and let's get to it. Now, the first thing I want to cover is my UI. The day before Raid started, my WoW bugged out, had to reinstall the game, and I actually lost everything. I was pretty mad at the time, but I also recognized it's a really good opportunity to redo my UI. That being said, let me walk you through it. I have most of my stuff at the bottom now. I can change spec, set loot specialization all from here. Shows me the time. My specs are down here for professions. And then it shows me my frame rate, lag, gold. I can Hearthstone from here too. My buffs are at the top left now. Minimap's pretty much the same. Chat box is bottom left, hidden by my webcam. And then DPS meters are actually on the right here. Other than that, my actual abilities are hidden. So they're invisible right here. I finally committed them all to muscle memory, so I don't need to see the hotkeys anymore. I think that's actually a big distraction for a lot of players. And those skills are down there lighting up and visible on your screen. It really does persuade you into looking down. And I don't think that's the best thing to do, or the best way to learn to play as someone who wants to be a cutting edge raider. You should be able to center your view on your character because you need to be watching for mechanics. That being said, this is my weak aura and it shows me everything I need to know. It has all my cooldowns here. It'll even tell me if I'm missing my poisons. As you train yourself to use the weak aura and not look all the way to the bottom of your screen, you get better at just centering your viewpoint on your character. The last change I want to talk about is my race change. After confirming that I made the starting Mythic roster for my guild, I went ahead and went through with the race change from whatever elf thing to orc. Solely because of the orc ratio, right? All because of blood food. I macro this in with all my cooldowns, and it's min-maxing, but it helps. For Mythic Plus, I want to cover why it's important that you do it, and a couple things in terms of doing it well. So I've been pushing a lot of keys lately, and I think that's important strictly for cutting edge to get gear. I'm one of the highest item levels in my guild. Right now I'm 204 equipped. And that's honestly all thanks to Mythic Plus. Baseline gear for a 10 or higher is 203. So to me that means there is no reason why every single piece of gear you have should not be 200 or above. If there's free gear out there from dungeons that you can do an unlimited amount of times thanks to Mythic Plus, you need to do that. And that's the first step. In terms of doing Mythic Plus well as a rogue, your talents obviously have to be on point. This is my Mythic Plus talent tree. It's the same as a single target one, except instead of Weapon Master, you take Pre-Med. Instead of Master of Shadows, you take Secret Technique. The reason for this is you want to get a stealth in between every pack and M+. And when you pop out on that new pack, you need this 10 seconds of slice and dice. Helps a lot. And then Secret Technique is obviously an AoE finisher, and Mythic Plus is all AoE. Another thing that helps a lot is actually Shot in the Dark. As you start pushing higher keys, your job as a rogue is to keep things locked down. There's a lot of stuff in Mythic Plus that cannot be interrupted, but yes, it can be stunned. And you wouldn't believe how many abilities and how many wipes you save your group by just being the person that controls the fight. As a rogue, you need to play for your team. You're there to time keys, not top meters, and that's very important. In terms of prepping for raid and making sure you're at the point you need to be heading into every single boss fight, I break that down into 2 different sections. The first one is making sure you are in tune with your class and especially your rotation. You need to be able to go to a test dummy and beat on that test dummy for 3 to 5 minutes and do it perfectly. If you can't do your rotation perfectly on a test dummy, how do you expect to do it in a mythic raid fight with chaos raining all around you, right? That being said, if you go to raid bots and you sim yourself, there is a drop down for simming for a target dummy. That takes away all the bloodlust, all the pre-pots, all that crazy stuff you get with your normal Top Gear or Swift sim. And it sims you plain as day on a test dummy what you should be able to do. That is a good marker. Take that sim from that test dummy, take that number, and go beat on the test dummy for as long as the sim was. If it's a 5-minute sim, go beat on the test dummy for 5 minutes and see where you're at, right? I promise you, after many reps of doing this, comparing your 5-minute test dummy sim to your actual 5-minute performance in the game on a test dummy, you're going to smooth things out you didn't know were there. And that has to be done. By the same token, there's a lot of work that needs done prior to entering the raid itself. You have to do your research on bosses. Yes, you learn by doing, but watching videos and looking deeper into the mechanics of the actual fights, even the nitpicky abilities that each boss does, you're going to find things that you don't know about. This series isn't about parsing 100s, right? It's about downing bosses. So if you find an ability and you read something, you realize it does this dot that does X amount of damage, that's going to help you. Because maybe you need to heal yourself during that mechanic to help your healers. Maybe you can pop cloak at a time you didn't realize you could before. And that's done through individual research. After that, you really need to analyze your own logs and watch back on your performances. I record a lot of my boss fights and I watch the videos back. I watch the actual video back and see what I could have done better. On top of that, I analyze my logs. I'm going to do a short segment on analyzing logs and give you a few things that you can pick out to really harp on yourself and get better on. Okay, so here we are at the Warcraft Logs homepage. I wanted to start from square one and really walk everyone through how you can approach getting better as a raider. So first thing I'm going to do is type my name in at the top. Oh, that's me. And find some of my parses, right? You want to find a parse where you think you played perfectly, okay? Don't find one where you died early to a mechanic. That's not going to help. You want to find one where you think you played perfectly and analyze that. Because those are the ones you're going to get better from. So these are heroic parses. I think I died on both of these bosses for a single kill last week. And let's go to normal. So this is perfect. Let's try Hungering Destroyer. Pull this up. Make sure I didn't die. I did not die. Okay. So this is a solid single target fight. This was last week. Single target's good to analyze from because that's your baseline. If you can't play perfectly on a single target test dummy fight, it's only going to get worse from there on out. So I 83 parsed. The first thing you want to look at is your uptime. Here's my uptime on Hungry Destroyer, 99.3%. That is decent. That being said, you got to think about the boss. Should I have a higher uptime on that boss? There's one phase in that boss where you have to run away because he does that big suck in. So you're going to lose a little uptime there. So 99 is fine. Next, for Rogue, here's a big thing you want to look at. Go to buffs. Right here, Slice and Dice. Slice and Dice is a buff you should have up on yourself as much as you can. So my uptime on Slice and Dice was 95%. That is not good. There's no reason you cannot have high 98 or 99 above uptime on Slice and Dice. This means I was not planning ahead during the fight. I am not thinking about what needs to be cast beforehand. I'm not making sure Slice and Dice is up before I pop my cooldowns, right? So this is an easy step any rogue can do to look at their performance. 95% seems good, but trust me, it is bad. And you'd be very surprised on how much DPS you lose from 4% Slice and Dice uptime. For example, if this was 99.2 instead of 95.2, you would be flabbergasted at the amount of DPS I am losing from having a poor uptime on this. Secondly, an easy thing you can do, baseline, is go to casts, right? I want to see exactly what spells I cast, how many times I cast them. Now, this stuff, yes, you can take this stuff and compare it to another rogue's parse and see how many casts he had versus you, right? However, a big mistake I realized I was making, and a lot of other rogues make too, is Vanish casts. Now, if you look through this entire list, how many times did I cast Vanish? Zero. Not a single time did I cast Vanish. Now, in PvP, Vanish is different. You use that in a million different ways. In PvE, in a raid boss fight, Vanish is useless from a defensive point of view. So you have to take that cooldown and use it offensively, right? You want to Vanish to get another Shadow Strike in. You want to Vanish to Shadow Strike to put Find Weakness on your target. If you don't know what Find Weakness is, go look it up, read your spell book. It reduces armor on your target, makes you do more damage, right? That being said, every time you Shadow Strike, you are putting Find Weakness on the target, not to mention doing a fuck ton of damage. Now, what happens when you don't have cooldowns and you're not in Shadow Dance? You are not casting Shadow Strike. So, when your cooldowns end, that Find Weakness is gonna fall off soon. So what you do, your cooldowns end, and that Find Weakness is about to fall off, you Vanish into Shadow Strike to extend that buff and do exponentially more damage. That is a big thing. That is something I learned. So just from these things alone, 95% uptime on Slice and Dice and 0 Vanish casts, that's probably the difference between an 83 parse and something much, much higher. And they are very easy to look for. Those two things are very easy to look for. And honestly, they are elementary errors. So that's where I'm going to cut the Warcraft logs analysis today. I think that's basic enough for everyone to understand. In later episodes, we can kind of go through and do very nitpicky analysis where You compare yourself to a different rogue who had a way higher parse than you on the leaderboards of similar kill times and analyze casts and why he has 2 more casts than me. But that stuff is pointless until we can get this right. Until we can confirm our slice and dice uptime is consistently 99% or as high as it possibly can be, and we're using Vanish on cooldown effectively and baseline things, we don't need to worry about the other stuff.
Heal yourselves if you want, if you can.
Logan, do you want to heal me?
Potions.
You can.
Don't forget to click the totem. Alright, mine is down.
Nice.
Mine is down. I clicked the
I'm healing.
totems. Click the totems.
Yep, we got it.
Alright, stay alive, stay alive. We got this chance.
Heal yourselves.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
We're good, baby.
It's my main voice. Oh shit.
Come on. Focus, focus, focus. Come on.
I got 18 seconds on wings. I should be able to pop. It's
Guys,
really
use your
slow.
defensive. If you have defensives, anything.
Let's go!
Yo, Pulse is shaking right now. Holy, I'm about to pass out. Oh, shit.
I'm